Hey guys, it's Sarah here on TFL, and today I am driving a Mazda6 Signature Edition with the Skyactiv Turbo. I'm a huge fan of Skyactiv technology, and since it first debuted, I've kind of been like following it to see how it would develop and wishful hoping that it would somehow spawn a Mazda Speed variant of either the 3 or the 6. And well, for now, this is about as close as we're gonna get. Although it doesn't look like much, this is the Mazda Skyactiv-G Turbo. Now, I could nerd out for hours on this engine, from its variable turbocharging dynamic pressure technology, which is a huge mouthful, and it took me about 9 times saying that to remember it all, down to its cooled EGR system or 431 exhaust manifold. There's a lot to nerd out about this engine if you're a true car enthusiast, and it's really incredible what Mazda is doing with Skyactiv technology. And on 93 octane, it produces 250 horse and 310 pound-feet of torque, which is more than the old Mazda Speed 6. However, this doesn't have all-wheel drive. Can you tell I missed the Mazda Speed 6 and Mazda Speed 3? Just a little. Anyway, let's check this thing out. How are you? Oh, you're so sweet. There's 2 of you. On this edition of The Good, the Bad, and the Sarah, that sounds like a soap opera my mom would have watched when I was growing up. I don't know if I want to go with that. Oh well, we're going with it, who cares? First thing, the good. The first thing that stands out to me with this Mazda 6 Signature is the interior. The interior on this car in the deep chestnut Napa leather, it's so beautiful. At first, when I first got in the car, I thought it was black leather. But then once you sit in it and your eyes adjust from outside, you can see it is actually a dark brown and is such a pretty color. And I like the fact that it has a black headliner, which is a little bit of a sporty touch. And it's such a pretty interior, and that is hands down the best thing about this car. Another thing that I really appreciate about the interior is the layout of the controls in this car. I will admit, at first it was really confusing for me to get used to having the audio controls right down here by the shifter, and it took me 2 days to figure out how to adjust the volume without using the steering wheel controls. I was like, where's the knob? I'm like tapping on the screen trying to figure it out, but the volume knob is actually down here near the gear selector lever. And after I figured it all out and developed kind of like a muscle memory for using the controls, I actually really liked it. The Hvac controls are really elegant looking, and I like how the heated and cooled seat buttons are right in the corners next to your knobs to control the temperature for the car. It kind of like brings your mind to one area when you're changing the temperature in the car. And also I like the LED lighting above the knobs. It's so bright and vibrant and vivid. It's seriously like the most colorful LED lighting I've seen in a car interior before. As far as the rear legroom goes, well, I guess that means I gotta go get in the back seat. This is always an awkward, delightful treat with me. So, gotta bang my shoes off, don't wanna get rocks all over the carpet. I've kind of noticed when I drive cars of this class, I either have a ton of headroom or a ton of legroom, but never both. And in the case of this Mazda 6, I have a ton of headroom, but as you can see, my knees are touching the seat in front of me. Another huge positive for this car is the exterior design is a very pretty car. Really pretty, and I love that the front fenders from a certain angle, there's some styling cues of the Mazda RX-8, which I was always a huge fan of the front end of that car. A lot of people didn't like the RX-8 compared to the RX-7, but I thought it was a pretty car, especially in the front end. Compared to the rest of the segment, I have to say this is like my second favorite looking car next to the Honda Accord. Another huge plus in this car is the fact that the sport button actually is noticeable when you engage it. In a lot of cars I've noticed when you engage the sport mode or you change the drive select mode to the different modes, it's not really that noticeable, but on this thing, when you go to sport, I actually notice a big difference in the way the car performs, and I'm a huge fan of that. With 250 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque, you're probably wondering if this thing's quick, and I'm about to use this interstate on-ramp so we can just find out. Go. Ooh. The short shifts a little bit, but it pulls really strong in the mid-range. Not a lot up top, but a nice good shove in the mid-range. Man, it's got a lot of torque. I like it. However, moving on to the bad now with this car, the first thing is you can't get the manual with the Skyactiv turbo engine, only in the base model engine. And come on, Mazda, just give us back the Mazda Speed 6. Put all-wheel drive in this thing and a manual transmission, and we'll all be happy. Or at least car enthusiasts will. As far as the handling goes of this Mazda 6, I would be lying to you if I told you I could get a feel for how this thing handles on public roads. Really, I need to take this thing to a racetrack to really see how it performs, because I feel like the true characteristics of a car don't come out until you're pushing it at 9/10. And well, driving 35 miles per hour up this mountain, I'm definitely not even at 1/10 of what this car can probably handle. It's incredible just what kind of fuel economy you can achieve combining Skyactiv technology and still having the power and the fun of a turbo. I mean, since I've had this car, I've been averaging around 27 miles per gallon up until a point that I drove to a 9,000-foot summit on top of a mountain. I was averaging 27. But now it's down to like 25. But still, I have to go all the way back down the mountain, so I'll probably get back up to 27 again. That's great fuel economy for a car that has 310 pound-feet of torque. As far as the bad goes, there's not a lot of bad with this car. I'm actually quite impressed with it. The only thing I can say is I found the manual mode when you put it in sport and put it into manual. The steering wheel mounted paddle shifters don't really reward you to use them. I don't feel like it's that engaging to want to change gears on your own in this car, which means it's actually better if you just leave it in automatic mode, which is kind of boring. I mean, I like shifting on my own, and I know computers can do it better, but sometimes I just want to have fun. The automatic headlight system, although it works incredible and it's very quick to respond, for me it was a negative because at dusk or dawn or at nighttime when your headlights are on, with the automatic headlight system, you can't turn on your high beams if there's a car approaching you, which for me is a negative because if you just recently passed something that you need to alert the oncoming driver of, you can't signal them briefly by flashing your high beams at them. Like, if you're the kind of person that lets them know that there's a 5-0 back there. Just saying. Now this third negative is also a positive, and it's a positive to every single person that's probably in the market for this car. And that's the fact that it is very quiet. It's serene and peaceful when you're driving this thing down the road. There's no noise from the engine, there's no noise from the road. It's peaceful and quiet in here. I could probably whisper to you and make an ASMR video, which I'm not gonna do. But I personally feel like this engine is capable of making an incredible exhaust note. And it's noticeable when you floor it all the way, you can hear just a little bit of a rumble going on in there that tells me this thing has an amazing exhaust note if it was just opened up a little bit. And I feel like there's missed potential there. And now for the weird, my favorite part of this, the Sarah segment. First thing that is really weird and stands out to me in this car was the fact that it has 2 fuel gauges. Yes, 2. There is a regular analog style needle fuel gauge, and then just to the left above it, there is a digital gauge that goes up and down, which has your remaining miles till empty next to it, which is so smart and so clean. And that's something I've noticed that is all throughout the design of this car, is they put things where they should be, where the way your brain would find them. So for instance, the heated steering wheel, heated seats, and air conditioned seats are located directly next to your climate control knob. So it's like temperatures are over here. And then when it comes to opening the gas door, the trunk, or the hood, all the buttons and levers are right in the same area. Again, kind of like your mind goes to opening something, all the buttons are located in one area. And that kind of follows throughout the entire car's design, and I really appreciate it. It's weird, but it's nice. Another thing I found weird about this car is almost like it short shifts when you get on it in first gear, and it makes sense why it does, because Mazda has designed this car to stay in the peak optimum efficiency and power range at all times, which, having 310 pound-feet of torque, you're obviously going to be making most of your power down low in the power band, so it doesn't need to rev all the way to redline. So my final thoughts on this Mazda 6 Signature. What do I think of it? I think it's a tease, honestly. I wish we had a Mazda Speed 6 or a Mazda Speed 3. This is like just getting a taste of what it would be like with the Skyactiv turbo engine in the Mazda 6, and it's amazing. But I could just imagine if this thing had all-wheel drive and a manual transmission. Please, Mazda, just give us a Speed 6 or even a Speed 3 hatchback. It'd be so good. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next week with another. Bye! Did you know zoom zoom backwards is moose moose? I just thought that's funny.